Okay, so like everyone wants their relationships to be amazing, right?
Right.
Like fulfilling and thriving and all that. But sometimes it feels like we're, I don't know, just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
This deep dive. We're going deeper, way deeper. We're going to uncover the secrets to making relationships really work, the stuff most people don't talk about.
Right. The real deal.
Exactly. So whether you're like about to have a big talk with your partner or you're just thinking about your own relationships, or maybe you just love this stuff,
It's fascinating.
it is. And we've got this incredible article all about relationship dynamics, and lucky for us, we have an expert to break it all down.
Happy to be here.
So one thing that like really stood out to me in this piece was communication.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's not just about talking more, right?
It's definitely not. It's the how. It's the way we communicate.
Totally. And this article, it's all about like active listening, which is way more than just like hearing the words.
It really is. Think about it this way. Your partner's telling you about a terrible day at work. Ugh, the worst.
Right. And instead of just being like, oh, that's rough, you say something like, wow, that sounds incredibly frustrating. I can totally see why you're upset.
Hmm.
And then, maybe you don't even jump in with solutions right away.
So it's about validating their feelings first?
Exactly. Making them feel heard and understood. That's active listening in action.
That reminds me of conflict resolution, something this article, really gets into.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It says to focus on the issue, not the person.
Right.
Which, honestly, easier said than done, right?
Totally. Especially when things get heated.
What if, the issue is their personality?
Good point. I think that's where taking a time out can be really helpful.
With timeout.
Yeah, not like a punishment or anything,
Okay.
but just a break. A mutually agreed upon pause to cool down and gather your thoughts.
So you don't say something you regret.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It prevents things from escalating and helps you both, approach the situation a little more rationally. That's such good advice. Shifting gears a bit, this article also talks a lot about trust.
Trust, the foundation of any good relationship.
Right. And it's not just about, like, the big obvious things like cheating.
Definitely not. It's about the everyday stuff.
The little things.
Exactly. The consistency, the reliability. Have you ever heard of Gottman's bids for connection?
Bids for connection. I don't think so.
It's this idea that we're always, subconsciously making these little bids for our partner's attention, affection, validation, even just a quick, hey, look at this funny meme.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Right. And when your partner responds positively to those bigs, even in small ways, it's like you're depositing trust into the relationship bank.
I like that analogy. The relationship bank.
But when you ignore those bids or dismiss them, well, that's a withdrawal. And those withdrawals can really add up over time.
That makes total sense. And speaking of withdrawals, the article does mention the infidelity. Like you said, that's a major betrayal. But what are some other things that can damage trust? Like, just as deeply?
Oh, there are so many. Breaking confidences, consistently dismissing your partner's feelings, lying, even something as simple as constantly being late or breaking promises. All of that chips away at the foundation of trust.
Sometimes even worse than one big betrayal. Right?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
that slow erosion that can be really dangerous.
Yeah. This piece also talks a lot about respect.
Hmm.
And it's more than just, like, good manners,
Totally. It's about really supporting each other's growth.
That's a really good way to put it. So how do we do that? Like, how do we actively encourage? Like, this piece really emphasizes finding the right balance.
Yeah. And that balance is different for every couple. It's not about a specific number of hours together.
So what is it about?
It's about feeling connected. Ask yourself, when was the last time you really focused on each other without distractions?
Good question.
Just enjoyed being together. If you're struggling to remember, that might be a sign you need more quality time.
But what about people who, like, recharge by being alone?
That's totally valid, and it highlights why communication is so important.
There's this again.
It really is key. You need to talk about your needs openly and honestly. Find ways to meet both your needs without compromising either person's well-being.
So maybe you schedule dedicated quality time together, but you also make sure to have time for yourself to recharge.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
This article also talks about those little things that can have huge impact,
Like what?
like physical touch and verbal affirmation, stuff that's so easy to forget in our busy lives.
Oh, I know. But they make a world of difference.
How so?
Think about it. A hug, A heartfelt compliment, even just a loving look.
Ah,
Those little gestures create closeness and reinforce those warm, fuzzy feelings. And, there's science behind it too.
really?
Physical touch releases oxytocin, the cuddle hormone.
I've heard that.
It strengthens.
This shared values and being adaptable.
Right, because relationships change.
Yeah.
What worked 5 years ago might not work today.
That's true.
Being adaptable means being willing to adjust, to compromise, to support each other through those changes, big or small.
It's about navigating those shifts without, like, losing that core connection.
You got it. That's the real magic.
This article also talks about intimacy, and it makes a distinction between emotional intimacy and physical intimacy.
Two sides of the same coin.
Totally. And it says both are super important.
Absolutely. But for a lot of people, emotional intimacy can be a little appreciation, more kindness, more love.
So gratitude is basically a relationship superpower.
I think so.
Okay, we're almost done here. But there's one more topic I wanted to touch on.
What's that?
Forgiveness. This article really emphasizes the importance of letting go of grudges. But honestly,
Tough one, right.
it's so hard.
Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip on. It's a process. And it can take time.
So how do we even start?
Well, first, it's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes.
True.
This piece talks about focusing on learning from conflicts. How can you both grow from the experience? What needs to change to prevent it from happening again?
So it's about turning those arguments, those inevitable conflicts, into opportunities for growth, both individually and as a couple.
Exactly.
Wow, that was a lot. But so insightful. I'm already thinking about, like, all the ways I can apply these secrets to my own relationships. It's crazy how all these things are connected, right?
They really are. You can't have one without the other.
It's like a web.
It is. And it makes me think, what about you? What's a relationship you admire? That's a good question.
What makes their dynamic so special? What secrets have they mastered?
I love that. Because sometimes observing other successful relationships can give us the best insights.
I think so too.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Keep exploring those relationships, keep connecting, and until next time.
Bye.